Welcome back. 8:21 this morning. Oh, it's 8:21. It was a long break, very long break. But welcome again, Morning Connection, live at the Ligani Club. The sun is coming out, Percival. Have you noticed on the standing orders, the rules of the House Parliament? You could literally change the face of your government if you were abiding by the rules, because we've seen the attendance record of the parliamentarians, the MPs, and noticed that quite a few of them would be eligible for expulsion from the House. Now, if an MP is expelled from the House, his constituency would be unrepresented and a by-election would be needed to ensure that the constituency gains new representation. That could change the fortunes of a political party.
Yeah, but remember though, suppose they were to follow that rule.
Yes.
And you have by-elections.
Yes.
You know, you can only call by-elections if the Prime Minister call it.
Well, you mean the Prime Minister could flout the rules of Parliament
Which I've done in the past, 'cause they have
and leave
yeah,
constituencies unrepresented.
Right, well, we're having it in the municipal councils.
Yeah, but they don't go to Parliament.
No, but I'm just saying, but even then, in terms of calling the parish council, the Prime Minister,
Yes.
and he was the person who calls the by-elections.
Right.
And
But
if it is not in his favor,
But remember, he sets the date.
Yeah.
So the date has to be set. But could he abdicate his responsibility altogether and not do it? That's why you have the court.
yeah, but
That's why you have the court.
but they've done it in the past on both sides. You know,
Yeah.
a by-election, somebody has died, and they're waiting, and so why not call it? You're all different kind of
Yeah. But you
thing.
come back to
Constitutional
a
reform.
government, any high official will get away with whatever excessive behavior the people tolerate.
I think we have tolerated too much excessive behavior in the
it
time.
would be our tolerance for that kind of action that could cause them to get away with it. Which takes me to the next article that you favored. Miss Imani Duncan, that's her name?
Imani
Duncan Price.
That's his DK Duncan's
Yes.
daughter. who was
PNP royalty, or would you say? Depends if
It's
Duncan is
royalty.
a favored son or not.
I used to be, but and then she ran in East Central. She was Central Kingston. Yeah, she was the
Yeah,
candidate,
and-
and then Mr. Williams beat her.
But then she's also withdrawn from the field as caretaker. Right. Okay, so this is a girl who grew up with politics
In her vein,
in our bloodline.
and her sister is in politics too.
Oh, which sister is that?
One that named Sutherland, married named Sutherland. Duncan
Oh,
Sutherland, yeah.
she has recently offered herself as a
Two-time,
contender
two-time.
in St. Anne, I think.
But she lost.
Yeah.
The guy who was
Yeah.
the thing. But
right,
she
so-
was
So
there.
it's in the DNA.
It's
you're
in the
saying.
DNA.
It's in the
correct.
DNA. And she wrote an article as a guest columnist in the Sunday Gleaner. The headline is "Cut the Umbilical Cord of Politics." What attracted you to her opinion in that? What did you
Because
like about it or not like?
No, the umbilical cord of politics. I was thinking of the politics between the
You were
gang,
thinking of
the-
tribalism.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. But she wasn't writing about tribalism. She was writing about something of a slightly different order, where I think umbilical cord is a misnomer.
Okay.
Because what she describes as the umbilical cord, in biology, the cord is what connects you to your mother. It is, and it's not symbiotic in nature, it's parasitic. Isn't it? The child draws from the mother like a parasite.
It is true. It is true.
Aha, okay. So she says the umbilical cord is that connection between the prime minister and the parliamentarians who apparently circle him for blessings and favors.
Right.
We don't have to paraphrase because she have it right there and I don't want to go outside of it.
Misquote her.
But apparently she was quoting her father. She says she begins with a quote from her dad. If you want a truly representative and effective parliament that acts on behalf of the people of Jamaica and not in the interest of their political party, we have to cut the umbilical cord of politics. This is DK Duncan circa 1993, a whole century ago. Kidding.
That's 30 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30 years ago.
The umbilical cord in politics is the direct and strong line that connects the majority parliamentarians to the prime minister. Right. It's not an analogy that holds true, I think, when you understand what the Constitution says.
And the Constitution says, according to the executive powers, according to
I can barely
chapter
hear you.
6,
Are you hearing me
according
over
to
there?
chapter 6,
Yes.
under the Constitution, the Governor General is required to appoint as Prime Minister the member of the House of Representatives who is best able to command the support of a majority of the members of that House. He then selects and so on, and he has a power to advance. But what the point that you raised is that that's not really true, because it means that you know that if it was close, say we are on different sides of the house, and
Yes.
it was like it was what? It was 63, so it was like 31, 32 or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
If we could have just
Persuade two or
the
three persons to
sign, and then
And one of
the-
those three can say, I'll jump if you make me prime minister.
which has
Or
happened in
deputy
some
prime
countries.
minister. Which we've seen it happen in the Eastern Caribbean states all the time.
So it means then that
The real power
is
is
it
in the hands of
the
those
parliamentarian.
who need, in the parliamentarians, because at any time they can run a coup. And what is sad for Jamaica is that such a coup could change the leadership of your country without coming back to the polls.
Right. That is, and so it begs the question in terms of constitutional reform and who is the head of government. As we say, we're going to put away the queen or the king,
The king.
the representative.
The queen left.
The queen has gone on to better things.
We left the greener
What does
pastures.
what does that mean? Because we're doing this constitutional reform, and I asking myself the question: that who
If you want to know what it means, Earl Brown just wrote it. He said that's why Jamaica need a new constitution for Jamaicans, by Jamaicans.
Made in
Jamaica. Made in Jamaica. No, but all of us who are advocating for that level of transformation say the head of your state should be elected, not selected by the
guys there,
entire cohort after
which is what they
general
did in
election.
Barbados and
Yeah.
voted for them. New
You must
president.
vote for your head of state. In the other republics do it. You vote for who's your prime minister. You can vote for who's your president too, which I think we should. The president shouldn't be some, rubber stamping personality that does whatever the prime minister says under the guise of a consultation.
It is true. because-
What Imani, Mrs. Duncan Price, is describing as an umbilical cord, which is really not an umbilical cord, but what she's describing is a connection in which the prime minister has such weight and power that everybody else have to suck up to him in order to get
to get something for them
a ministry
constituent or a thing.
or something for your placement that is lucrative and give you status. In biology, the parasite is reviled and is to be got rid of. We thank our mothers for not expelling us. I mean, I'm laughing, but we have to be grateful to the women who persevered and carried their children full term. A child is a very vulnerable thing at the end of an umbilical cord.
Because all the nutrition and everything
Comes directly from the mother. The mother is host. But if permitted, she can. That's why the abortionists are so rabid in their determination that women shouldn't have the right. It's an existential cry when you say, please, 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 bring the babies, bring the babies. Without the babies, mankind will perish. True. Without babies, societies eventually die out. Think of all the tribes that once graced the face of the earth that no longer exists.
They kill off the babies or they kill off the women.
Whichever, by whatever method. By whatever method. So in some cases, harsh living conditions cause the people to, get sick and have difficulty recovering, and eventually malnutrition and those kind of hardships impair fertility.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Stress. See all the stress that you put on the nation, it impairs fertility. And even in terms of people having the ability to function and to learn and to excel and so on, all those things are impaired by stress. So growth of the nation, of the economy and so on.
We're a stressed country.
We're under great stress.
So you are saying when I saw that, I thought it was the umbilical cord between the politicians and the gangs and things,
Right.
but it's not really that.
Yeah, she says she's speaking about what is happening. She's speaking about on the floor where MPs do their work. MPs are too careful of
But
the
the
prime minister from whom they feed to truly represent their constituencies.
So in that way, or what she has put out is important. That in
Yeah.
there, yeah, it's a very important
She's
part.
exposed the reality
Reality that-
in the house, just like how we have seen how absenteeism, how high
It is.
it is. And we understand that if they're not there, they can't be working for us. So that is a concern. We're now hearing from someone who sat in the house that the relationship is so sycophantic that persons,
What a word they mean? Stop it. What a word they mean again?
they're sycophants, they suck up.
In
That's
simple
the best.
terms, yes.
They're suckers.
They suck up to
They
him,
suck up
whatever.
to the Prime
yes,
Minister.
minister. Anything except prime minister, and they do have
Yeah,
independent
you
thought.
don't. So you're not speaking from conscience. You're not thinking about the will of the people, the benefit of the people. You're thinking, how can I stay in the Prime Minister's good books so I can get something?
It's interesting. I can get something. So
Yeah.
that's an umbilical cord that,
That's the one. She speak of it that way.
and I can understand why the UIC were their way of doing it. They are saying in terms of how parliament is structured, it becomes important. Yes.
All right, we've blown past our 8:30 break moment, so I'm just waiting on the signal. But what she describes, I always love it when parliamentarians, people who have served in the House, speak truth about the experience. And we have said we're going to get a certain senator who recently
Former senator, yeah. He's
resigned
gonna
from
come.
his position to sit with us one morning, perhaps next Thursday.
Yeah.
We can organize that. I'm very curious what inspires you to serve, and then what's your actual experience as you serve. I've often found that you have a lot more power and influence during courtship. Watch Percy face. You as a man who do premarital counseling, don't you understand what I'm saying? You have a lot more power and influence when they're courting your participation. You can say, well, I'll only come if the carpet is red. I'll only come if you serve tea twice for the day. You know, you can set some rules and some standards. I'm using.
Because I think, maybe, maybe better you say it than me, because if me did say
So,
to
you think it's a woman saying it?
No, like yesterday you said something about the woman. You
Yes,
remember?
yes.
Me
That
say-
Jamaica is like a pretty girl who give mixed signal.
Yes,
signal.
and-
Everybody knows it's true.
But
Especially because
better
Jamaica
you say it
pretty
than me.
bad. Yeah, especially because Jamaica hot.
Oh, Jesus.
Everybody would want to be associated with Jamaica. So Jamaica can be a diva.
Right.
Jamaica can say, I
And
want
the-
white flowers
and
every
use that
morning on the
power.
table.
Everybody want a piece of Jamaica.
Yeah. So Jamaica can say, well, I'm only coming if, the rooms are painted red and there's reggae music at dinner.
Oh,
We can set any kind of standard for certain things. If a Jamaican athlete is being courted for an event, one of the star athletes, no? To show up at your first time
you set
ever.
your fee. You set your fee.
Yeah.
So
you're
like when Usain Bolt he was getting more money in appearance.
to appear. Yes.
Appearance fee versus if he won the event.
Yes, of course.
Because it was Usain Bolt. And it would fill up
Absolutely.
stadiums. Yeah.
Can I tell you, where were we? We were doing something, crossing a border somewhere. And
Turkey. Turkish border.
well, okay, let me describe it as best I can. No. It was in South Africa and there was a police checkpoint. And the driver
they
of
never
the
lock you up.
car, we got a substitute driver at the last minute. And the driver of the car, her registration disc was not up to date. And three of us Jamaicans sitting in the back, and she was explaining in her language to them that she's taking these Jamaicans to the airport, and I just hear the policeman in their language. I hear Usain Bolt. In fact, what I thought it was something else he was saying, and it Lowell who said to me, just said Usain Bolt, and we were just flagged along merrily on our way to the airport in some part of South Africa we were.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Jamaica have power to draw attention.
Jamaica, I know.
Jamaica. So
I went to Australia and I told you that experience.
Yeah, okay. So I was right when I said Jamaica is like, the hot girl, the pretty girl who give mixed signals. And so America has put an awkward question to us.
Like how you put it. I put an awkward question to us.
We have to be,
I wonder, really?
Yeah, we have to be saying, I know I let you think I'm open to that, but I'm not really open to that. So now there's embarrassment. Yeah, I'm dramatic. Yeah. That's exactly what happened to us. We're out there going on like we're all things to all men, and somebody put a question that we turn out that, I really can't say yes to that.
You have to describe it, It's funny though, but it's funny, but true.
It is exactly so, Percy.
No, from a male perspective, here, there,
you understand it?
Go on, and she getting all of the signs. I say, everything, the ducks are lining, it's ticking off, the ducks lining up, and then they go, and she go, where you get that from? Where you get that from?
No, she's offended because you think she's easy.
Yeah. No. He said no.
So no, I actually have a law against that.
Because you have not been consistent.
Yeah, man. You don't send out your mixed signals.
No,
okay,
sir.
so we know it's a very serious issue. And you've heard Percy and myself talk about it on Tuesday, on Wednesday. Because it's free-flowing Thursday, we're approaching it with a bit of humor. But you're living and you're mature, some of you understand what I'm saying. We cannot be all things to all men. We must be clear about who we are and what we stand for. We can't just out of the blue say, I actually have a law against that, when you've been behaving as if you're lawless.
Have no law. You don't have no laws. You just anything goes.
Anything goes.
Yes. Anything goes. No, sir. No, Baba.
So how did you get me into that? I don't even remember.
Are you? I don't know. That's why I'm saying you can go and you can say anything you want, but not I. But I'm just saying, just in regards to that. But the deeper issue is, you see this thing of integrity?
Yeah, man.
Of purpose, like my friend said.
Biting us all over our body.
Yes. Because for a very long time, just pull back all of the things that have happened. Would you say, is it a country for sale?
Country for sale. You never say, is it? Would you say country for sale? You first come check out what's on the...
And then think about country for sale. You heard what happened yesterday, that the government in Parliament for 2 years have said that they're not going to take from Widalco, which is Rusal in Yorktown, the levy. So they're giving up
It's like a 2% or something.
No, man, $5 million. It would have worked out to be, based on what they're saying, $5 million 1 year thing. But then on another station, the man said first, I hear that the only time I hear about it is when it was in Parliament. This is the person who represents the workers.
Wow.
To say, no, we never know about that. And then he's saying, let us do our due diligence. Because he says, in 2018, between 2010 and 2018, the government gave up $64 million, Mr. Morrison, in terms of bauxite levy. And then in 2018, they make everybody redundant. Bring them back, lower pay, no overtime, no benefits, no pension. So I say, really? And we're giving that up. Then the minister was saying on one hand, well, the wage package like 24 million, and they're gonna, and the exports is.
Are we talking
100.
about a company that is majority owned by government?
No, we're talking about a private company.
Yes, but is government a stakeholder in? Is it Windalco?
With Alco, they
With
are
Alco?
stakeholder in Jamaica, which they sold the
Jamaica,
other day
okay.
for $1.
All right. So worse then. We are allowing private sector owners to, we give them benefits, and then they are predatory in their treatment of
Because
the
them say
workers.
outside of that, they're going to have to close.
Then
So
they
it-
should close. So why is it that you and I would have to close our business if those certain adversities reach us, but a foreign investor gets to get a tax break and treat the workers badly? You
yeah,
see,
because
these are, I mean, that's some
those
of the
are the
things.
issues, you know.
Yeah.
But what surprised me is that if such something is happening and this person represent the
He should
majority,
know.
you should know
He
it's the
should
first
know.
time I hear. I only heard about it like you when the Minister Clark was saying it in Parliament.
Parliament.
And I'm saying, and they must trotting out the figures, 120 million US dollars in terms of alumina export. What would have been lost is 600 people. They spin off the community of Yorton and so on. And you consider that, but you're wondering, because you have been saying we have to look back at what
The-
is happening in the extractive
in that
industry,
extractive industry.
if we're really getting what we need from those.
We're getting our fair share from it. And how dependent do we need to be on it to survive as an economy? But you see, when members of parliament are not showing up to lobby and to represent the interests of their communities in
And
parliament.
that is you, Graham
this-
constituency.
see?
Yeah. And they must
You
wanna
see how
get
you
them-
could make the link right there?
Yeah, because they, because
He's one of the absentee ones.
that is why we need to change
Yes, sir. I see you've made a stirring call
the
for constitutional reform.
And it being because these things come as the second chief minister, because I think in terms of, even though he's not deputy prime minister, he's a very powerful minister. They come lobbying and nobody else don't know, because I'm sure the cabinet never know until he made the announcement
Yeah.
yesterday.
Because, the Ministry of Finance is one of the ministries that you could say could rightly challenge the Prime Minister for power in the sharing of power. Because that Ministry of Finance can do all kinds of things behind closed doors, so to speak. And it seems like, I don't know, I don't have the sense that the Prime Minister himself is as closely connected to some of the financial decisions that are made and that have such far-reaching impact.
No, but in all fairness,
Yeah.
Clark could not have gone to Parliament and made such an announcement without the Prime Minister knowing about it. Even with a call and say, boss.
Yeah, that's the making of the announcement.
Yeah,
But you and I know that a lot of work goes into developing a position before it becomes policy. And it's why we join the teachers in their call for deeper insight into the report and the assumptions which went into their wage transformation.
Up to now, nobody, they
package.
can't see the report, you know. You know, the $1 billion report.
The one that
the
Mr. Clark says
Ernest Young, that him
he
said
didn't
that.
know that anyone was blocking it and it's available.
So the question is, has it been released, sir? Remember, I went in Parliament, so we should ask Helen Davis why, because we need to bring it on the news cycle.
Or,
when they see the report,
or Mrs. Harrison.
yeah,
Because they ought to have seen it.
they ask for it and they still can't get it because remember them say them thinking potentially of going to court with the Ministry of
Yeah.
Finance in terms of some of the issues. 'Cause
And
when
if they are going to court, they would have to refer to the report and the terms of reference which went to the consultant to expose either the irrelevant considerations or the inaccurate assumptions and the weaknesses in the foundation of what was done as a possible explanation for the unjust result that they have experienced.
Yeah,
I mean, if I were doing that case, I would want to start by
The
doing
assumption.
just that,
The assumption.
exposing that these assumptions are wrong. False premises have been used as a foundation for the calculations. Some of the, and if there are inaccuracies, you pick them out. Because
if you make
Yeah,
decision based on false,
if you right and
you're going
irrelevant
you're going down the road.
considerations,
You're going
then
down a road.
you would have acted unfairly.
Yeah, but you know what and I'm just hearing that conversation. She says, when the government told them years ago, 80% of what is market, and they said 12 billion was available, they are saying now with this report, it is the same 12 billion available, but it's based on 50% of market. How can that be? Because remember, the plan long term was to move them close to market.
Closer, right? And I think they were at some. It was what 80%.
80% years
was
when
the
they did it and
commitment.
they gave up. I don't know.
So, if you're watching that issue, I want you to bear in mind that the courts of this land have already set some foundation principles
Yes.
for the evaluation of government conduct when they are either exercising their discretion or carrying out statutory duties. So if the teachers were to go to court on this matter, a part of what they would be showing is that the result of the assessment defies rationality, that it is unreasonable, that it did not accord with the usual principles of natural justice, that it may have even breached some of the constitutional safeguards. You know that just the treatment of labor and a person being fairly compensated.
Part of the three.
It's a part of part
Chapter
of
two.
your rights and freedom, fundamental rights and freedom. Right now, at the United Nations level, the Charter of Human Rights has embraced viewing your work as a part of your cultural output, to which you are entitled to share fairly in the economic benefits that are derived from it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes, it's one of the anti-slavery recognitions, because in slavery, you work, you're not getting no pay, and the value of your output is taken and carried off to prosper and benefit another economy, another country, like when you had sugar here. So there's been that recognition now that your cultural expression, whether it is your music, your cuisine, your art, but also because it started as the move to distance ourselves from the enslavement of people, your labor, you are in there building the People Hotel by your good service, your love and care for the guests, and creating this ambience that sells, becomes the unique selling point for somebody's brand. Yet, when they make the billions, they barely even want to give you a salary increase, a lunch allowance, or any of the things that would show you to be participating in the wealth that is derived from your work. I loved workers' rights and trade unionism. You know, when I was studying law, I had a passion for it, but I couldn't see how I could
make a money out of that.
No, I didn't see where. It wasn't about money. It's how would I work? Trade unions typically
are based on deals
and have their internal succession. You couldn't just come out and join a trade union at the executive level, or you have
to work your way up
and the way that I saw lawyers doing labor law, like at my firm where they had a practice in labor law, you were dealing with employers. You were never dealing with the workers. Yeah. If you think about, of course.
The might and the power was against the poor, the slave.
Employers can hire lawyers. Employees that scratch to get a good shop floor representative. So trade unionism has not gone the path that I think it could in Jamaica, because the workers are always too poor to get the best of anything.
Representation.
Yeah. And the ones who you'll see labor in the field representing workers, they have to be remunerated out of the fees, the dues that are paid, and so that can be no big money. Or they have political ambitions.
Oh.
So it becomes their training ground for growth in politics. I didn't have political ambitions. I really just wanted to be
able to help,
a part of building a jurisprudence and a culture that protect workers' rights. So I loved it when I was studying, but I couldn't see where I would go with it as a career.
Yeah, it was the politician.
Yeah, coming home. But you know what? The Lord has promised that the latter rain will be way more abundant
the former rain.
than the former rain. So who knows? I still have that interest. There are things we can do.
As you speak about labor, the minister responsible for digitization
Digitization, yes.
and thing said they need to have a strategy for skills development because that is our portfolio
Yes.
operating out of the office
Was
of the
it in
prime.
yesterday's paper
Yeah,
that she spoke about
yeah,
this, that they reported on her speech in the House?
Yeah,
Because it's her, I'm going to
was our
find it
maiden
first.
speech.
But I was curious about what
And
she
then
said.
now, previous to that, Mr. Erickson of the Butch Erickson of the national fame was saying that boy, there was some
Hendrickson, you're saying?
Hendrickson was reporting that boy, we have to import labor if we need to do it. Now, people are gonna say, boy, we
Oh
really need
no,
to.
Percy, you miss out one leg. It's a three-legged horse. You had the head of Hart saying that the amendment to the Treaty of Chaguaramas, which allows truly free movement of labor across borders, means that Jamaica is going to lose her skilled laborers who are highly coveted in other places. And so we are going to have a labor crisis. So let's stitch the three pieces together. Hart says we're going to lose people because a treaty now makes it possible for our people. She says that the certification by Hart is highly coveted.
Around the world.
So
I know people going to Canada all over the place because it's part of the Commonwealth.
So she says now people have more opportunities outside of Jamaica. They're going to go. What did Hendrickson say?
So we're going to have to import.
Okay, which would be a consequence of losing.
And don't have enough. I remember the Prime Minister said it with the old hotel building that they don't have
the skilled artisans.
And even E.G. Hunter was saying that he was hoping with the highway and the use of the local contractors that they would scale up.
And then, Miss, what's her name? Dixon, Norris, whatever. The new Prime Minister without portfolio.
No, she
has spoken
skills,
to
man.
her.
She have skills and digitization.
Yeah, but when they're in the premises office, they don't have portfolio. They have assignment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You didn't know that?
No, me just tongue in cheek.
Oh. All right, so let me find what she was saying, because what I found interesting about it, I said, so the Prime Minister is moving Education Ministry into his office? Him have Heart, which plays a massive role in educating the nation with skills training. Now he has this lady who says her job is to create a strategy for the training and education of targeted skills.
Oh boy.
Then you have the Ministry of Education out there with teacher shortage and a whole set of problems that obviously we're trying to say, let's go with the new kid. That 60-year-old one is way too troublesome. The Ministry of Education is one of our oldest ministries.
Yeah, we know.
So you are what I see shaping is, let's focus, and now we start to talk about STEAM and getting
STEAM.
And getting vocational training in schools at an earlier age. Vocational training, is a heart.
I know,
oriented.
and that's why I tell you see...
We're stumbling over ourselves.
It's not stumbling over ourselves. You know what it is? If them not recognize that God has set a strategy. I'm sorry, I'm leaving up to me imagination. Which is what I say happening. Yes. I keep saying it because if they were to really sit down and assess, they would say to themselves, we need some wisdom in the situation. And James said, if you lack it, ask me.
Ask for it. And God will give generously. Without question. Him not going to say, now you again, didn't I just give you wisdom? What did you do with it? He's not going to say, you too fool, forget so much wisdom.
No, man. If you're in the seat, because there's wisdom that is needed for the different situations. So, but you have some, because she has said, go down to, that is utter rubbish,
Which one?
No.
New lady?
No, we never take she on yet. We talk about the Minister of Education saying that they need to carry vocational training to primary school. And the primary school are not properly resourced to teach the children the basics. And you're going to move vocational training. What kind of foolishness is that? Is it Tell her that.
So you mean then the prime minister is right to bring things into his own house and ignore what the Ministry of Education is up to? Because they're too troublesome.
Because they're not dealing with it. And I, you know, I am just reflecting. Somebody said something to me and I'm ruminating in like a cow in my mind.
It's in your code.
Yeah, I think about it and I say, you know, when you think about this recent flirtatious thing with Jamaica.
And the US.
Yes. And you think about what is happening in education and the fact that there is not a clear, coherent philosophy of how we deal with it. And you think in terms of the loss of personnel because they're moving out. The senior teachers gone. The only people you're finding in thing is those who just recently come out of
training college.
Because you must have heart. You must have a heart. You must
NTSA?
have no, man. You must have a heart. A heart.
The bloody organ.
Yes, you must have a heart of thinking about situations right, having a moral compass.
Yeah.
And the lack of a moral compass, as skilled as you are now, when I was heading up this institution for about 8 years. When I went
PDI?
in, I said, hold on, I'm training these people, but they can't keep a job. They don't have no sense of purpose. How do you give people a sense of purpose? You know, I have to go back to
basic
in terms
that
of how you see yourselves.
School.
And I'm saying, so if you take out the experienced teachers, you don't have a clear philosophy. No pure chaos then.
Well, let me tell you, this lady, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, has her own philosophy.
Which is
now, it is, I share some of what she says, but let's think of the point you just made. That institution you were at, PDI, took persons in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
and really, I suppose, any age.
Second chance, yeah.
Right, second chance.
Or third chance.
Or third, whatever age, but you have left the traditional school system now. You have aged out of that cohort. We are constantly doing planning at that level because we failed to capture the hearts, minds, intellect of our children at the earlier levels.
0
That's
to
why
8.
even the Patterson report says early childhood is where you gotta spend your biggest money. This is not what they said, but they said that's where you need to put your strong focus. Whether the money follow it or not is debatable. Here we are, now in the almost departure lounge, and this is where we are now introducing a philosophy.
Well, we're in the
when we come back,
departure lounge, yeah.
When we get back from our break, we're going to take the 9 o'clock break now. I'll share with you the philosophy that is now emerging from the Prime Minister's office regarding the preparation of our workforce, our people to work, to earn, to live, and to be prosperous. There's a philosophy that you will see it in what this new lady has said. We'll be right back.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
The Lord give him an inspiration. Welcome back. We are in our final segment. If you are listening closely, you will hear all the sounds of summer because we are here live at the Ligani Club and it is summertime. And the beautiful future of Jamaica, all of the noisy, sweaty little children that are our
from
precious
3, 4 years
future.
old up to look
And
like
this
17,
man,
18.
you said 3, I'm sure I saw a toddler.
What is that toddler? 2, 3 year old?
2, 3-year-old can walk strong. I see them all ages. They've taken over the place. There's table tennis going on one side. There's some kind of volleyball. There's football.
Swimming,
I know
drumming.
swimming is going on.
Drumming.
It's beautiful though. And I'm very glad to see this 100-and-odd-year-old property filled with black people. A swarm of black people. Yes, because the Ligani Club is part of old colonial Jamaica, where neither women nor black people held places of honor.
You serious? Thought the woman would come because if they have rooms, they must come with the lady. What you saying? he, my friend, they must come with the lady. No. You just think a certain.
No,
but
man,
anyway.
women could be on property, but you couldn't be in positions of authority.
Okay, all right.
Because you're quite right. The women complete the prettiness and gentility of the set. But so, the kids are all around, and honestly, it's a bit distracting. Almost as distracting as a summer fly that keeps zipping in and out of the place. Have you seen it? Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, but before we took the break, Percival and I were talking about what's happening in education, launching from just a little examination of the new senator. We can still call her a new senator until maybe the end of the year. But Senator Dixon, Morris Dixon, Dana Morris Dixon, who has a portfolio for, what is it? Skills and digitalization.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she needs to work on changing the name of that portfolio. But
She made her maiden
her
present.
maiden speech in
And it was
Parliament.
not like your good friend, the stuff it sent me.
Oh, dear Lord, don't remind me of that. I'm sure he's still regretting the path he took. So, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon spoke. And I was saying to Percival, if you examine what she said, you will see a philosophy for education emerging from the objectives which she cited in her speech. Now, the tragedy is at the primary, early childhood, primary, secondary school level, senior teachers, administrators are saying the philosophy for our education system is not apparent. What we see needs to be changed because obviously the output is not reflecting the desires of either the employers, the students, the nation.
Nobody at all.
Nobody is pleased with the output from the education
Let me just put in
process
this input
ministry.
here. And
Yes.
your favorite pastor, Pastor Michael, I call him the
Oh,
country
yes.
pastor.
Yes.
He was saying, you know, it's unfortunate because he's intimately involved in the education. And him say, what we get was an education system that was preparing people to build their empire. And we have
Somebody else's empire, not our empire. Right.
And that's how he summed it up for him. Say,
Oh, yeah.
we need to just throw away somebody. There are some good things, but we really need to rethink the whole thing.
Percy, you're so right. That's why I don't lose any opportunity. I don't miss an opportunity to emphasize that the education ministry is one of the oldest ministries.
Yes.
We had it before we were independent.
Right. And some of the things that are
yeah,
there
man, it is set up on a foundation that is actually hostile
to the development
to
of
the development of this country.
Right.
And who don't figure that out yet? I think many people have figured it out, but how to pull it down? You know, in business we talk about a flying change. Like in aero, if you watch acrobats who do the aerial shows, you can do a change from one move to another while in motion.
All right.
Our problem is executing a flying change. We can't shut down the schools and keep the children at their age to wait until we retrofit it. And it has bedeviled us for decades how to execute a change, a handover from one type of approach that don't work to one that we believe could work.
And the flight of our experienced teachers out of our system is not helping it.
Absolutely.
Because the people have the experience who could help, not doing it. And then...
well, it makes it harder because, even as you said, those who have cut their teeth in the old system that was geared to a different outcome, it's not necessarily a bad thing to lose them in a person because some of them are set in their ways and need to acquire new habits.
True.
But it makes the changeover even harder because you have to keep the ship stable while you are making the change.
And then she was pointing out that this ratio that they agreed on, 1 in 25, we're losing it. Because if we can't teach it, no, we were moving towards it, but now that going through the wind.
As they leave, it's going to be now 1 in 50. All right. So this is what our government is doing. And you got to see it for what it is. Because we can't change, because we're having difficulties making the change, we have gone to the new city that we want to be in. And we are creating policies and philosophy and strategy and agencies and putting money behind the new, while the old one is just there in death throes, so to speak. But dying with it are the hopes, the future, the prospects for a whole generation of children. That's the part that is hard to swallow, that those who are trapped in the system that is failing are not getting anything out of the new because the new is trying to address a whole different age group. So the Prime Minister has put in his stable, HEART, NTSA, that collect of fortune. There was a time when I had like 2 members of staff and 50% of my tax was going to HEART for the 2 people. Mm-hmm. Those are the kinds of things, that make it hard for you to be an employer of a small business. When I saw how much we had to contribute to cover the socials and HEART alone, which is the employer's portion, because employees don't pay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I found that unsettling. Look, COVID came and shut down the tiny operation, so that was the end of that. But the Prime Minister has HEART, and he has created a new desk for Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, which is within his office. And because he is also the Minister for Economic Growth and Development, he has basically transferred or energized his office to handle what the Ministry of Education should be handling. Have you noticed it? So here's what's happening. This minister gave her speech, and what she outlined is what I'm saying to Percy. In the reading of it between the lines, you see the new philosophy, and a great one too, might I say, for education. Objectives of the strategy. So it first says that a national skills strategy is to be developed that addresses technical, vocational education and training. Other objectives of this strategy include strengthening the links between employers, education and training providers, putting people, first, that's a massive point right there. In the Patterson report, they spoke about incorporating some elements of work and study in how you address apprenticeship type
so what they do in
modality.
Germany and the countries, the Nordic countries.
Yeah. So that you're training people to function in a workplace and you are sensitive to the needs of employers in how you address things. So that is one objective of the strategy.
So you're not training people in a vacuum. You're training them to the jobs that are out there and what you're seeking to
function in the real world.
Right, that's correct.
Please tell me how that is a digitization issue. How is that a skills and digitization issue? Yet, it is in her plate.
Yeah, because
she's
the de facto Minister of Education.
Ah, thank you.
That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That the Prime Minister has, by a sleight of hand, brought the Ministry of Education into his office while Minister Favour is out there
Fighting fires, bushfires.
and the teachers are out there. Okay, so that's one thing. Then it says what you and I love to hear, that this strategy puts people at the center of the constant evolution of skills. So now you are actually
People-centered.
people-centered. What a blessing. Delivering the skills to create more and better jobs. So now quality has entered the play. How long have you heard me complaining that even with the BPO sector is low quality jobs, they're getting at the lowest end of the spectrum, no money or very little money. So this lady is saying her objective is to deliver skills that can lead to the creation of more and better jobs. When you hear more, you're now looking at innovation and diversity.
Correct.
Better jobs, higher level of skills.
Quality.
She's saying quality jobs that can give Jamaicans the opportunity to do more than eat Kentucky Fried Chicken on Fridays. You can actually now go to Uncorked and have a dinner with your family.
Who is Uncorked?
Well, Percy, you're betraying some things here.
That's all
Or
right.
you're just balancing me out.
Where's
No, man, there are two nice restaurants in the St. Andrew area and also in Montego Bay. Let me
No,
say,
no,
I'm not advertising on Cork, but I do pass by and see how well attended,
It
how
is?
well patronized it is. Yeah. That's why I tell you that some people are saying dinner for family is in a nice sit-down restaurant with linen on the table. And for some, it's sitting outside KFC or, you understand? And that hurts me, that the standards have to be so far apart. Anyway, so she want to deliver more and better jobs and, drum roll, sustainable economic growth. So now you have a vision for growth of the overall economy, and you're moving the pieces in place by giving people better skills, upgrading them, upskilling them. I see that word somewhere else. Then comes the last part, which is the icing on the cake. This strategy promotes inclusivity, inclusive of people of all ages. And these are words now that this is just the best written speech anybody could give on their maiden voyage. Inclusive of Jamaicans of all ages who are empowered to traverse their path towards new opportunities. That means the glass ceiling gone. You don't have to reach somewhere and book. This strategy will break glass ceilings because you can now get into new opportunities. New opportunities mean funding and doors being open in the financial realm because you would have been nurtured, educated, cultured in a system that makes you a viable, bankable prospect. I'm putting all of these into what this lady has said. And then because she is the digitization queen,
Technology.
it ends with embracing technology. So all of the problems
Are we becoming
we've
transhuman?
been all of the talk you and I have mourning how Jamaicans lack digital literacy, need to be more comfortable with the technology and more proficient in moving through the space as the rest of the world is marching along. Miss Dr. Morris Dixon has a strategy on her desk to accomplish that.
Right.
Then she says several countries around the globe have already moved in this direction, and she cites Ireland, South Africa, Australia, and Germany, among others. Do you notice, with the exception of South Africa, which have a good black population, she has reached for the examples from some differently abled economies, which is not a bad thing. They understand, she says, that a deliberate skills strategy is crucial for a country's development. And I am going to add the word survival. Development, survival. Because Cuba, our neighbor, she didn't talk about Cuba. Cuba, our neighbor, has long practice doing exactly that. You can't get up and say, oh, I just want to be a doctor, without knowing if there's room for another doctor, as opposed to a nurse or a teacher or a farmer or a biologist or a musician, whatsoever the case might be.
Yeah, I'm just I'm just thinking in terms.
You like what she said?
It always sounds well.
Yeah, but in terms of pulling a philosophy out of it. Do you see what I mean?
No, I'm understanding.
Yeah.
It sounds well, and then now, you make it with your tongue in cheek says that is the de facto minister of education.
Oh, yes. It is, I'm not even being tongue in cheek with it. It is clear that we couldn't make the flying handover, which I've described, to move from a ministry which has as its foundation a desire to keep the plantation stocked with labor of a certain level. This issue that I keep raising with you, that our economy is geared against labor being at zero value, slave labor. Lady here is speaking about a different regime. And I prefer the one of which she speaks, quite frankly. But government has the responsibility of taking care of everybody. So you can't condemn one batch of people to die under the hand of Favor's ministry while you are building a castle over here for another set of people.
It should be the same set of people.
It should be, yeah, you should really find a way to integrate. That's why you are politicians and you are policymakers and so on and so forth. That's your job. Meanwhile, says she, the Heart NSTA Trust is to strengthen its technical and vocational education and training regime to make it more responsive, accountable, and forward-looking. This with the view of building a technically skilled workforce that is nimble and responsive to changes in global demands. The Office of the Prime Minister will work with Heart to develop and grow higher-level technical programs that are underpinned by the needs of the local economy and industry inside, that will provide persons with pathways to advance to higher levels of technical training while supported by on-the-job training.
So that's another shift there. Because
Enabling our current and future workforce to be the pillar of industry transformation and the engine of economic growth is our goal. Doesn't it sound like a Michael Manley statement right there, sir? I heard him in my head.
She went to school with it. But I'm just...
Yeah. No, she's too young to go to school with Michael Manley. What did you say?
No,
Probably she went to school with him?
No, she probably coming out of his school of thought. That's
I see.
No, man, Michael...
What you said?
I went to school, but you remember you can't go to somebody's school.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
I see.
Like
I see. At the feet of Gamaliel.
Yes, right.
Perhaps he was her Gamaliel.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking, I'm hearing that, and my mind runs to implementation of that. How do we move it forward? You can bring about change. Somebody said this to me. You have a ship, and a ship is going along a path. The ship is so big that if you were to make a sudden turn, it would break the bow and everybody would be drowned.
Yeah.
So it's now, how do we now shift mindsets in terms
the
of
first
saying
thing, Percy,
is
Heart should be in the Ministry of Education. Listen, you can't have it both ways. You can't be building a different ministry while you have one ministry already struggling.
Because I remember...
Heart should not be out there as some super agency getting a whole heap of money from employers, but not dealing with... It's like you're creating a sick child so you can go cure him when he's in his 30s.
No, but you have put it right. I could never understand the logic of... And it's Mr. Something's doing, the Prime Minister's doing. Can't remember he existed as Minister of Education.
So I'm still love it.
Right.
I'm not try move it into his office piece by piece.
No, but it's there already. Remember, in terms that it directly reports to him. And so I'm saying to myself...
Which one? Ministry of Education?
No, he needs to put back Heart Trust NT under Ministry of Education because what it does, it releases additional resources to
tackle present-day needs, right, as well as catching them later on when they're failed.
So here is it that she has clearly elucidated the strategy on it.
Yeah. There's a philosophy for education. Tell us, Sandra.
And then now, you have a minister who is saying, all right, let's do vocational in
And
primary schools.
look at that.
When you could easily
Oh,
say,
Percy.
okay, put the Heart Trust NTA, and then because they've amended the Heart Trust NTA Act already, you know,
Yeah.
let's use some of those forces to empower.
What's going on in the primary and the early childhood and yeah.
Because, but so therefore,
All right,
it's
we've
Joanna,
solved that one.
You I like what you solved that one. No, but I'm saying
solved that one.
No, but seriously looking at it. So you can send us the money. We'll
And
take
then-
consultancy fee.
And let me tell
for
you,
the-
Percival, I would joyfully open another office and pay the arm and the leg to Heart. Because I would know that it is having an impact at the levels that matter. We seem to want to, well, as I said, it's like you make the child sick all through in childhood.
And then they say, "See what I've done? Look at
and then bring him into the clinic when he's 19, 20 and give him all of the bells and whistles.
And so it is so important to hold intention that you have to be operating on two different
Levels and tracks. Yeah.
You have to fix what's in education, and they missed a grand opportunity to fix what was so bad in education by this compensation thing.
You know, there is a theory, certainly in the entertainment industry, in film, follow the money. Anytime you see something go on, and you can watch a movie and see them structuring it, follow the money.
In the movie?
Yes. I'm just going into art now, so I'm not accused of saying people are trying to steal Heart money.
Oh.
But Heart is cash rich.
Yeah.
So they're not leaving it. So it have to be put somewhere where you can do as you see fit with it. But Heart, the contribution to Heart and the education tax are meant for the same set of people, the picnics of the nation.
The children of the nation.
Children of the nation.
And
Same set of
I
people.
know they have tried stuff in terms of trying to infuse vocational in high school, because you remember you have the technical high schools.
Yes,
but the grammar schools don't have it. The traditionals don't have it.
Yeah.
And to introduce STEM, you can use those things in terms of
Percy,
robotics.
we've solved it.
Only few schools
By the-
have robotics.
By the power of the Holy Ghost, we have solved it.
Yeah.
Mr. Prime Minister can thank us later.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is true.
Yeah, I see what you're doing, sir, and it's not nice. The Ministry of Education has some real challenges. If you're keeping the ministry integrated with the place to which you have sent all of the good stuff, including the good thinking, we beg you. All right, we're taking our break, 9:30. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I believe we will survive for the next 10 minutes. The drumming and the noise has grown a little more intense than makes it comfortable to speak, but we only have a few more minutes to go. We could wrap up the commentary we were making on what is clearly a move, a shift, not necessarily in a bad direction, because the policy, as explained by our new minister, is quite appropriate to the demands of the day. She has mentioned everything that is current and necessary for Jamaica to survive and to get our workforce up to par. But we are struggling somewhat in understanding why the Ministry of Education, which could well do with the same level of thought and focus, is left out there struggling, teachers departing in droves, issues pertaining to remuneration and benefits continue to be a great distraction. I call it distraction, but the truth is survival is at issue for many of these teachers who have left the profession. I know that our constitution only guarantees us state-paid education up to all age level, which is around 12 or 13 years of age.
And so it begs the question in terms of the minds of our political class, what we see in terms of saying that education is free up to the secondary level. If we are, you talk something, but you need to back it up with action.
Yeah, man.
And with constitutional reform, it are things that you can now begin to really address, that it is known for a fact that we have to put the resources where it is needed so that we can do what we need to do in terms of moving our people forward, especially our young people. And what she has outlined, inclusivity, making use with technology, consistently educating our people to a certain level, that they are nimble.
Leveraging the links between employers and
everything.
And schools.
Yeah.
She's touched on all of the things which the Patterson report delved into as well.
Significant.
So it is the one ministry. Why we have this
Why is the office of the Prime Minister
bifurcated
in the
system?
Prime Minister?
Yes.
If you need to move the lady, move her out. Put this lady here. And then I know for a fact that, because when something about a long time.
And then hiding it under this guise of digitization.
And skills.
And skills.
The
very fact that you say skills and digitization gives the impression that it's a technology move you're doing, but it's not a technology move.
So
that is wholesale education. It's a worthwhile, much needed shift, but it ought to be inclusive of the resources and the personnel that currently populate the Ministry of Education. So please.
And we had the education tax, which came about years ago in order to empower or educate, that you have funds that are set aside.
To have sufficient resources for the
so there's sufficient money in the system.
More than enough.
Proper priorities, proper leadership, that's a crucial thing, proper implementation to shift what needs to happen.
Oh, wow.
So with that in mind, as one ticked off, and we can send our fees, our consultancy fees, to the Prime Minister in terms of this is what he needs to do. And seeing what is there, we continue to say that, like Minette has said, Jamaica is not like a lady. And I said it's a minute. I said it's
what did I say?
You're like a lady that says you're leading the person on.
Oh, Jamaica and the pretty lady with mixed signals.
Yes.
Sending
we have
mixed
to be
signals.
Clear.
Yeah, man.
Clear.
I said that the US put an awkward question
to us.
to us, and we responded like, hey, I actually have a law against that.
I know. No.
That is the proverbial slap in the face now. How dare you? There's a law against that.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have also, in this week, spoken to the fact that that question has brought to the fore, how do we deal with matters of law in a consistent way? Yeah.
Our integrity is now at issue, and our credibility, because we roundly slap them in the face and say there's a law against that.
But what about the other things?
But there are many laws
when with the Integrity
which
Commission,
we play fast and loose with.
Integrity Commission
Yes,
under attack because a man said them having a witch hunt. A witch hunt? They're just doing their work.
Yeah.
Why is it that reports, the Auditor General report that according to our Constitution must be released because she's independent of people, she just do her work? Why did they release one of the reports and not the other one?
Yeah, I told you it was a time release thing.
Is that time release?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
Lord.
I read the report in full and saw the Deputy Speaker of the House is actually the Prime Minister's wife. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Holness is the Deputy Speaker who released the report and had a very cute exchange with another member of the House who was pointedly asking, are you overruling the Speaker's position? And some cute response was given that is not even worth repeating. But the truth of the matter is, there was no need to ask her if she's overruling the Speaker's decision. Just take the report and go and do your work. You know, all the time you'll hear me say,
oh, Lord have mercy.
when you are in the position as, when you've succeeded on a point,
let's press along.
your enemy's neck is under your foot.
Don't bother step on it.
Don't bother jump up and down all over it and take pictures and do a selfie.
I want to do that. So many times.
I know.
That is the
resist the urge. She released the report, treat it as a concession on the point, and move on and do your
So
work.
we're going to get the other report next week.
Well, apparently they're doing it little
Slow
by little,
release.
depending on slow release.
And then the gag order. Who are these persons?
So before we go, let me thank Taki for, there are some points he's making here. I'm reading them because he's talking about the use of master teachers in the schools that have a higher level of proficiency to give like distance learning, use the technology to do master classes or make videos which are available to the other schools that
They're
don't
doing it
have.
now.
Yeah, that is in fact being done, Taki. Maybe it should be done more and it should be a lot more talk about it and so on and so forth. But that's an idea that was being touted from as far back as when I was dealing with the Universal Service Fund was funding e-learning.
And they've stopped doing that. Them doing all of these access points.
They're focused. You don't hear much about the e-learning part of it, but that is the first and only project that went to Parliament and was approved for funding by the Universal Service Fund. Nothing else has gone. The fund is doing things.
But it's not doing what.
But it's yeah.
You know, that's why we need the law of the Medes and the Persians in this country.
Let me tell you.
We say it is joke, you know.
That one discussion you and I had about it
The laws of the
has
Medes.
stayed in my mind.
The laws of the Medes.
That there be continuity of the things that are good and progressive
For all of we as people.
for the benefit of us all.
And that is what I advocate. You know, I just share something with you. My children have all gone to primary schools. It was a deliberate decision that I took.
Not to send them to
prep school.
high price prep schools.
Right.
Or just prep schools, whether it's high price or not.
Yeah. And my children have done well academically. But it was not good enough for me as an individual and as a Christian to see things in the system not working. I say, I know my problem that. I know my problem that. Not my problem. That's why I've been involved in PTAs and so on to advocate that we must be just and fair to every picnic, every child.
Yeah. There's none that we should condemn.
Yeah.
And say, let's prepare for the next one.
What can we do to make sure that the system is equitable, that you are maximizing it? And you know what woke me up that I have to do research? At the primary school, I said to the principal one day, how much money you get from the ministry? And she said, something like $300 and something per student. So what you say? So what you say?
That was when your kids were going to school.
Primary school, years
ago.
Yeah. I said, no, man. And that mobilized us to mobilize the PTA. And they said, there's more that we can do.
More is needed, and we have to close the gap.
We have to do it. And so even, and we have been through no compulsory fees and the political football that was played.
Yeah.
When they know in effect that there is not enough resources put there to ensure that All of the children, not just your picanic.
If you're paying close attention at any moment now, Percy will have to get up and speak to the wind.
Yeah.
I'm just, before he does that, let me say thank you for supporting us this morning on air, online. We bless you for the weekend. This is, of course, where we call it quits for the week. Thank you to those back at studio and right here, Pastor Percival, producer Lawrence, producer engineer Lawrence. Thank you for making the show this morning. Percival, interesting topics of discussion. I know you and I are going to continue as we have our Jamaican breakfast. So to you all, I say, have a great weekend.
Walk good and don't bucket too. Have a great weekend. It's our Friday. See you on Monday.
See you on Monday.